Hey everybody, Drew here, and you are with me in the car early on day 4 of this absolutely crazy week. I just wanted to go over with you guys a topic that I think is extremely important early on in your career as an entrepreneur, and it's early on this channel. I really wanted to format this channel to be like a class that's in order, but that's just not going to happen. So I'm whipping out the ideas I have written down for you guys, just kind of in a random order, as much as it makes sense as possible. So today I want to talk to you about being careful where you get your advice. I'm going to say, right up front, it's very similar. Me personally, I told you in yesterday's video, I'm a Christian. And early on in my walk as a Christian and my walk as a husband, my walk as a father, I prayed hard for wisdom, but it was up to me to be selective in receiving that wisdom, where it came from, sorting out what, kind of meets or works with what I'm trying to do as, again, a Christian, a husband, and a father. You don't just take it all blindly. And that's virtually the same thing with advice that you get as an entrepreneur. So just quick little backstory where this topic started. So early on, my first job, I was 16 years old, and this is well over 20 years ago. I made a little bit more than minimum wage. I wore a pressed dress shirt and khakis with dress shoes to work, and picked up about $400 a month back then in something like commission that they called spiffs. I got like these, they weren't bonuses, they weren't commission, but they were spiffs. Meanwhile, most of my friends were working like terrible jobs. So I was super blessed right from the beginning. But, these successful people, not Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, nothing like that, but people that were doing well in life, people in a suit that cost more money than I made in a month, that not that they had the suit, but the fact that they didn't have to think twice to buy it kind of thing, are telling me, man, you could do so much more. And that started to eat me alive when we moved to Boca Raton, Florida, and I was basically helping people set up their second homes in Florida. And I constantly heard, man, what are you doing here? What are your plans? You could do so much more. And I was making good money. I mean, back in 2011, I was making, I don't know, like 70 grand, which is, pretty darn good for a job, same thing, pressed dress shirt, khakis, dress shoes, not breaking a sweat. Ironically, now I break a sweat and I enjoy it. Make a lot more money and I'm a lot more free. But, I had this guy, he's very famous. He owns a very famous chain of restaurants, and he holds several patents for food items. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but I walked up to thank him as he was getting into his Rolls Royce drophead coupe. And that is, at the time, that was a $520,000 car. And this was, over 15 years ago, right? And he said the same thing to me, man, you could do so much more than this. But it started eating me alive. What is it, right? So I was getting good advice from multi-billionaires, but it was empty. So that's one kind of advice that, you got to be careful how you take that, because it could drive you crazy. The big one, and this is what I want to get to you guys. So you've been thinking about starting this business. You've been telling everybody, probably. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe that's, maybe we could just call that the advice and turn it off right here. You've been thinking about starting this business. You've been telling people, and you've been hearing things like, are you out of your mind? You have a family. You have a good job. You have a pension. You have children. You're going to give all that up for some dream? No, that's crazy. I can't tell you how many people, and it's strained relationships, how many people that, I thought wanted to see me succeed told me I was out of my mind. I mean, verbatim, are you crazy to leave a steady job with a good company to go try to do your own thing? You have a wife and kids to worry about. And I'm like, thank God for this. I literally closed my ears, didn't talk to him about it again. And if it got to me in a way that fueled me to prove them wrong. And now look, I say this humbly. I mean, things can change at any moment, but as of right now, my business, again, it's a small car dealership. It is so automatic. All I need to do is have a pulse, shoot the cars on YouTube, and they sell. And there's more than enough money for my wife to continue to stay home with my kids. We go on, like I told you in that intro video, probably 8+ weeks of vacation per year. It has been absolutely fantastic. No, I'm not a millionaire, but there is not a day that I am not actively grateful that I left that steady job. So there's that. The other thing And by the way, I should say this right now, I'm giving you advice. If what I'm saying doesn't line up with what you're trying to do, turn me off. Don't subscribe. If you already subscribed and you don't like it anymore, unsubscribe. I'm not ignorant enough to think that what I'm saying works for everybody. But the third type of advice that you got to be really careful about is people that aren't successful. I'm going to probably say this in all my videos. I said it yesterday about the choosing your customer video. Every single human being on this planet has equal value and deserves your love and your respect, okay? Like I said, and I'll say it in every video as well, and if it doesn't work for you, no pressure to subscribe. I'm a Christian. Jesus died for every single person on this planet. So when I talk about how some customers are more valuable than others, some people giving you advice are more valuable than other people's advice, I'm talking about the customer file and the advice, not the human being. But, there's these people that aren't successful at all. They're up to their ears in debt. Their car's falling apart and they don't have the money for a new one or the credit to get a loan for a new one. They're stuck in some dead-end job they hate, or worse, they live in mom's basement, they don't work, and they're giving you advice. You need to tune that out. And by the way, now's a good time to subscribe because I started working on content for the absolutely critical topic, not just for your business, but in every area of your life, of budgeting your time. Folks, you have 24 hours a day. Whether you're a multi-billionaire or you're flat broke, those are the only hours you have, and you need to be extremely careful what you do with those. And while you're building a business and you might have a family and still your day job, don't waste your time, your energy, your effort, your heart, your soul listening to people that aren't successful at all trying to tell you how to be successful. You need to define success for yourself. For me, look, I'm in this ugly, whatever, just to keep myself dry and warm. Today's another blue-collar side of my day. I'm so happy. I'm so free. I am, in my own definition, successful. Our 401 or our Roth IRA is usually maxed out by, March, whatever. Other investments, things like that. Take away the money, I'm happy and I'm successful. Take away my personal life, my business is successful. Why in the world would I take advice from people that aren't successful? So I own a small car dealership. At this point, I am the voice for that. People trying to start, or people that already have a small car dealership, an owner-operator, or somebody, like a two-guy partnership, they need to be taking advice from me because I've made it. My platform is successful. But if I want to get bigger, if I want to hire, 3, 4, 5 guys, girls, whatever, and make it big. I have a guy in my life, I've gone to church with him for a decade. He owns a 40 car a month store. He owns it, I don't know if I should say this, but free and clear. His employees love him. He's successful. Would I talk to him, or would I talk to somebody that's, not that? You know what I mean? I've known people in this business that they're basically they treat the car business like a drug dealer treats drugs, and they hire hustlers to hustle underneath them. I don't want their advice. I want to be like my friend who is successful in all areas of his life. He's successful personally, he's successful as a business. He's the advice I want. So there's 2 car dealers. There's people giving you advice that, here's a good one. They don't know anything about your specific business, but they are entrepreneurs and they are successful. Listen to what they have to say, but filter it. So this is it's meant to be a short video here on what I believe to be a very critical topic. You've decided to take the jump and start a business. Everybody is going to be giving you advice. Look, you can go, you walking through the mall, the Easter Bunny is going to want to give you advice on how to run your business. Don't take it, folks. And by the way, this applies to marriage. This applies to being a parent. Advice is going to come from everywhere. It's up to you to filter it. And I'm telling you right now, you're starting this, a big thing. You're going to be hypersensitive for a while. Don't let the bad advice in. The empty advice from the multi-billionaires that can't and won't tell you how to get there, or the advice from, I'm sorry to say, as an entrepreneur or an employee, not as a human, the loser who's accomplished absolutely nothing, but he can tell you how to do it. You need to find people they're exactly where you want to be and talk to them about how they got there. So I'm Drew with what hopefully is some really good advice for you today. Take care, God bless, and remember this, if I could do this, so can you. Take care, God bless, bye.